everybody. I am Kim Daniels, co-host of the Parker Daniels Show. Today, well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to my co-host Anthony Parker, who's on the sidelines today. So, hello to him. But today we have with us a very special guest. She's a friend of Anthony's, actually, or a teacher of Anthony's, and we're gonna let her explain to us some of the things that she has done or contributed to the community through her career and her skills. So give a warm welcome to Miss Kathy. How you doing today, Miss
Hi,
Kathy?
Kim. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine. Miss Kathy, can you tell us a personal history about you? Like where you grew up, where you're from?
My family's originally from Arkansas,
Oh,
and
okay.
when my dad got his PhD at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville, he was offered a job here in Baton Rouge at Southern.
Okay.
So he worked at Southern for like 30 something years, and that's how we got here. I came here when I was turning 7 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. So, what about your education? Where'd you go to school?
I went to Southern. I had a few classes to certify in visual impairments through a satellite program at Southeastern, and some at Southern, and some at Utah State that was offered here as well. That was for the multi-handicapped children. But I had no idea I would be in visual impairments. No idea.
So why did you choose that?
Oh, I got a job teaching art because I was an art teacher. I taught high school for 3 years, and I came back to Baton Rouge, and a friend of mine, very close friend of mine, we were friends since 10th grade. She was in fine arts, and she had a job as an art teacher at the School for the Blind at Southern,
Okay.
which eventually moved to Government Street campus. And she would talk about her little kids, and I was like, oh, you don't get that in high school. And I got interested. I said, well, I wonder if I go by there, the school on Government Street, if I could do what she's doing. Because since I was in art education, I would help her.
Okay.
My mother and I were both in art. And since she was in fine art, she didn't know the education part. So we would help her and give her ideas and send her stuff. I had no idea it was the same place where she was working.
Okay.
But she had just quit, and I got a job at the School for the Blind as an art teacher. And I wanted to know Braille because I wanted my kids that could do writing to know some theory behind art. And I wanted to know Braille. So I started taking classes while I was teaching. And then I said, oh, I always like reading too. So I also certified in reading. But my VI certification certified me for K through 12, and since then I've been working with kids that were from 3. I think the oldest I had was 23.
Oh, wow.
And so I've been, I started when I came back, I worked in Florida for a while, came back and I got a job in the parish, and I worked with pre-K, and then I became itinerant specialist. I'd go around the parish, and I found out, wow, I really have to be an advocate. I had to fight for my kids, and I had, having worked at the school for the visually impaired.
How long did you work there for?
I worked there 9 long years.
Okay. Okay. And where you are currently working now in Zachary, I heard,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Okay.
I'm part-time in Zachary. I retired from East Baton Rouge Parish, and I started working with a couple of students in Zachary. They wanted me up there, and they've been very accommodating for that part-time, and that's enough for me right now. I love it to death. I have one little girl that I'm teaching Braille, and one little boy that I just check on occasionally, and another little girl with albinism that I check on her. We've made a video to help encourage her, and that's one of my focuses is children with albinism, African American children with albinism, because they have a special, there's a special dynamic with them because you know the race thing, the color thing, there's a special dynamic for our African American kids. So I focused on them and have her make a video, show her famous people with albinism. And now she's like she pokes her little chest out and she walks around. I have a video and I'm going to tell you all about this. Yeah.
So great. Well, since you've been working in the schools and everything, what are some of the challenges that you have seen your children go through, whether it be with the blind or the albinism or, any other type of, disability or whatever handicap they may have? What are some of the challenges you have seen that your kids have gone through and accomplished and overcame?
Sometimes it's adults that don't understand or don't want to understand or think that they have to change too much in their classroom. Most people are just fine and dandy and they say, oh, you're here to help me. I'm like, yes, I'm here to help you and help the child, and they're fine. Another problem was, and it's a sad issue, if I have children with Stargardt's, they're usually in denial and they go through a period of grief, and sometimes it lasts a couple of years because they kind of slowly, while they're in school, start losing more and more vision, and they're sometimes they don't want your help.
It's difficult. Yeah. It's very difficult. I mean, I can understand that as an adult and stuff, because I have lost my sight gradually, so I can understand that from that standpoint. And so I'm sorry. So have you ever had problems with with the teachers?
Yes.
Not accommodating the children?
Yes.
And what have you done to try and get these teachers?
I try to be as diplomatic as possible. I try. I don't raise my voice or anything, but I can get my point across. And I have to say, okay, so this is going to help you. I have to focus on that person. This is going to help you. I'm going to bring something in here. It's going to be fantastic. This child can use it. And you're going to really like this. You bring something in, that the equipment that the child can use. They kind of get excited about that. But I've had a few that are still resistant. I don't work with blind children. No, you don't have to worry about that. I'm here. I'm your resource. I'm here for you as well. And I've had, I think, maybe one or two that were just still resistant, and they were working hard to get that child out of their room or whatever. But most people, they come around and they say, oh, this is not so bad. This is a regular kid. It just has have a little vision problem. We have to do things just a little bit differently, and she's going to make sure that's done.
Right. So. Now, since you work in the school for the blind and stuff, so those teachers are more oriented for working with kids that are actually visually impaired as to working in a public school with teachers. What is the difference? I mean, is there a big difference in the mentality of the teachers in the two different schools? Or did you have to push both teachers in the right direction?
In the public school, a lot of them wanted to know, and the younger teachers, they're more open to. And I guess because they're kind of exposed in school now. Look, you're going to have to deal with different disabilities in a regular classroom, so get ready for that and be open to that. So some of them, they're really cool with that.
So is it better for a child who's visually impaired to go to a public school instead of going to the visually impaired school?
I think, the trend now, the trend a long time ago was more of our children with multiple handicaps are going to, because that's not your least restrictive environment, your residential schools or special schools. And so it's good for some of them. Okay. And for some of our college-bound kids, it's good for them to at least go during the summer and learn some other special skills, or be around people that are like them and have some more community. But the public school is realistic because there are going to be people who are, even though you have everything that you need to get the same work done as your sighted peers, you're going to be around sighted peers all your life. You're going to have to deal with the public all your life. And if you shelter somebody at a special school, it's not cool. Now, I've had students to say to me that graduated from this, you know, old people like Anthony. They say things like, well, if I hadn't been in the art club, because I had an art club, or if I hadn't been in band, then I wouldn't have known that I could make it around sighted public school kids, as they call it. I wouldn't have known that I could do that. So they had that advantage there as well. So, but yeah, being and you have this problem with middle school and high school kids, because I've told a fourth grader before, I'm bringing you all this stuff to use in your class, and it's really cool and exciting to you right now. And you can tell your classmates, look, I got a special monocular here. Man, this is all mine, and it's just wonderful. Middle school, you're going to look at how you're different from everybody else and not want it. You're going to turn, I don't want that big print paper. I don't want to, you know, I don't want that. I don't want anybody to see me with that. I've even had one take off his glasses. Yeah. It's the frontal lobe development or lack of it thing that just makes them crazy, because I've told them, you're in middle school, you get crazy, you're not going to have any sense until you get out of high school. So.
I understand that. But okay, well, going into detail, and now you can't give out, well, I don't want you to give out any names, but tell me, in the years of teaching that you have done with your children, with your, and everything, what is your most special case that you feel like you have really impacted on a child that you helped in school? Give us a little story of somebody that you think that you impacted the best in the last, you know, what, you've been teaching 12 years?
Oh no, it's been
longer than that.
Yes. Yes, I started teaching in 1976.
Oh wow! Okay,
Yeah.
so almost 40 some years.
Yeah.
Then. Okay, so what's your best student story? Who are you proud of the most?
I can say that my favorite class, when I had a class with a little room, was my preschool class. It was so much fun. I'd be so tired when I come in. I was exposed to every bodily fluid known to man, but they were all multi-handicapped babies. They were all with ROP, retinopathy of prematurity. They all had other issues due to premature birth. I had one that didn't talk. I had one that was in diaper. No, one time I had 4 in diapers. One that was in a wheelchair. One that was hard of hearing, and I knew what everybody liked to eat, what they would play with, what would make them cry, and when each one had an improvement, it was a great celebration. That was my favorite class. I have several that I have been really proud of, so I can't say just one.
Okay.
When I see people get up and say, okay, there's nothing here for me. I can't get around the way I was taught in school. I can't do this. And they just get, okay, I'm going to have to get up and go here.
Right.
And so I have students in different states that are just doing things. And then some of my multi-handicapped kids who are doing things that they can do for themselves, and I see them just doing for themselves, and that's great. It's like one teacher told me, she said, for my little boy that couldn't talk, she said, I'd have to see more improvement than that in order for me to feel satisfied. I said, yeah, but every day, if we do the same thing every day, and in the end of the year, he's doing something according to his IEP. I'm proud, because we did that the whole year, and he gets it in May. That's a big celebration. That's a big celebration.
Let's go into a little bit about your Facebook page. What is Kathy's Kids?
Well, I had a website that I needed to renew so badly, and it's about sharing information and resources with parents, with other visually impaired people. Sharing those things, because sometimes people just don't know, where can I go do this, how can I find out about this? So it's mostly about sharing and especially parents who feel sort of overwhelmed and at a loss, is because often parents of blind kids, they are, when their children are small, yes, and they are grieving over the sighted child that they didn't have, and you have to get together and say, okay, so where are we going to go from here? And some people stay in that grieving period, and they don't have to. They don't have to say, hey. So I give them examples. Hey, look, here's a child, or here's a person that grew up with the same thing that your child has. And look at them. They're succeeding. They're very mobile. They're happy. They're married with children. They're successful in their job, or they're out there doing what they need to do to get a job, or that's the purpose of it. It's to talk about advocacy as well.
Okay. Well, also, let's if you don't mind me asking, I know Anthony had told me you are going through some health issues and everything. Can you explain a little bit about that and what you are going through, so that our people can be aware of it?
Well, I was treated for lymphoma. It was a slow-moving lymphoma back in 2008, and I came out of remission, and then I came back a couple of years ago. It came back a few years ago. Okay. So I was being treated with this wonderful drug called Imbruvica, because I didn't want to go interrupt my life and go back into clinics every month or every week and have chemo. Right. And they had this wonderful pill I could take and still lead a normal life. And I was working in Zachary, and everything was doing fine. A little bit low immune system. I had to be careful, but it was great. I went every place. And I had a you know how you get sinus and you might have your ear stopped up and your nose stopped up? Well, I had that on my right side, and it was lasting and lasting. I knew I caught this bad cold from a student in one of the classes, and it just wouldn't clear up. And we went back and found out that I had developed a very rare condition of treating small cell lymphocytic lymphoma with this drug, is that you might get another form of lymphoma. So I did. And when you have that, it's called Richter syndrome. Okay. So it made me develop another kind of lymphoma, which kind of meant that I had two different kinds of cancer at the same time. Okay. And so usually if the latter one comes on out of the blue, it's very easy to treat. But since I had the smaller one first and then caught that one, it was harder to treat. So I had to go to MD Anderson. That's what my doctor had recommended. And I had to have a stem cell or bone marrow transplant. My daughter was my donor. Okay. And that's what leaves me kind of, I have to watch being around children. I have to, I have to apologize for not being able to hug my folks and shake hands and stuff. So, but I'm blessed that I can still go and still do, and so I'm glad about that.
That's amazing. Yeah. That is really an accomplishment for somebody, that you're going through your own personal, physical, medical issues, and you can still contribute to the community, helping out other children or adults doing what you do. That's a blessing. It really is. And as somebody from my personal point of being a blind person, we appreciate it. I appreciate what you do for our community and our society and everything. Because that's what this show is for, that Anthony and I have put together and everything, is that we want the public to be aware that, we have sighted people out here that want to help and everything. And we are very grateful for those of who want to help, letting the public and society be aware of all of us who are out here that are not fully sighted or not fully capacitated and everything like that. So we thank you. I thank you and stuff from the bottom of my heart and everything. Is there anything that you would like to tell the public from your own standpoint of how you think sighted people or any other person should be treating, those of us who are disabled with visual impairments or handicaps or anything like that? What was your advice to them?
Let that person, that individual, and understand that that is an individual, lead the way. Let them inform you. Let them say what you can do, and don't just assume that you have to go help. Just go grab somebody and just I hate to say, I had somebody grab one of my kids behind the back and grab their shoulders and was pushing them in front of him. I said, so if he trips over something and you can't see through him, both of you going down. So, but ask. It's like, I have a friend that's in a wheelchair and people automatically grab his chair. So you ask him if he needs help. You want me to push your chair? And he'll say yes or no. I said, just listen to people. Listen to what they need and what they don't need. They'll let you know.
Yes, we will. Definitely will. I know I will, because since I've lost my sight in the past 2 years, once I got out of my little depression and all that with it and stuff, I definitely tell people what I do and don't like. And I think, well, Miss Kathy, I do appreciate you coming on. And taking the time out of your busy schedule and come and do this for me and Anthony.
Oh, no problem.
Viewers, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube. You can also check us out on Facebook at The Parker Daniels Show. You can also email us at parkerdaniels2018@yahoo.com. If you want to send us a comment, an opinion, send us your bio. We can get you on our show and everything. Again, I shout out to my co-host, Anthony Parker. He is a great guy. Even though I do say this continuously, I am the better half of this show. And it gets him every time I say it too. But I love him. He's my best friend and everything. So Anthony, you're doing a great job. I do appreciate you very much. And so, and again, Miss Kathy, I thank you from both of us.
Sure.
Continue doing what you're doing. And may God continue to bless you and everything that you do. Viewers, we're out and talk to you soon.